we've discussed your sort of career lifestyle and what you've been engaging in recently and sort of the purpose of why you've come here today, I wanted to discuss your Holland codes and how they are more relevant to you and how they sort of impact your lifestyle.
Yeah, so I scored E for enterprise first. Um, then I had S for social, then A for artistic or creativity. Enterprise was my strongest skill, and I think that is quite accurate for me. I would define that as being quite self sufficient. Um, that is a characteristic which I practice a lot, and I deeply value that. So, carrying those skills into different parts of my life is quite helpful in a lot of ways.
So you'd say those that enterprising ability is sort of strung into like your ability of wanting to be resourceful. Would you say?
Yeah, definitely. It's a lot about taking initiative into things. Yeah. With social being my second skill, I also practice that quite a bit, and as a part of my job and my career, it is a very important skill to be able to connect with people and form meaningful connections and have that kind of authentic relationship with people. That's something that I really value as well.
Yeah. So you would say that um, being sociable is a very important part of your life, and I guess we could kind of even see how that relates to your Schwartz scores, where agreeableness scored quite high,
Mm.
um, and even openness. So that sort of ties in with your abilities to be sociable and how it's quite a paramount to your job as a support worker.
Yeah, definitely. With creativity being my lowest skill, it's something I definitely work on. It's not my strongest skill, but I do still value it. I find that it's quite important in, day to day life as well, just seeing, beauty in things and having the creative mindset to kind of appreciate things more and to apply those skills into more like practical stuff, like, creative writing or even just thinking outside the box, which you would do when working with different groups.
Yeah, of course, and no, definitely as sort of you mentioned earlier how you have to do your care notes at the end of every shift,
Mm.
wanting to be more authentic, I guess you could say, with that artistic vision, and can definitely see how that would string into other sort of pathways in your life. You know that um, even just your like wanting to be more sociable, finding more authentic ways to view people and meet people, and having different appreciations for contact, I guess you could say.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. So the second question I would like to talk about is sort of how would you say those codes or themes are relevant to your life or to your job as a support worker?
Well, I think these traits are very applicable to my career as a support worker. They're skills that I use professionally, especially enterprise, where um, I do have to work quite independently, and with that requires a lot of self sufficiency as well. So, by having that skill, it helps me become more of a reliable and more of a team player kind of person. Um, Applying that to the social skill as well, it just helps me work well with different people. That's something that I find is really important in communicating, and especially um, yeah, just communicating between different workers and different clients that you have. Creativity, again, is a more challenging one for me to apply, but it definitely helps when I try to connect with different people and their creativity, their creative interest. So that's something I can use.
So you feel as if your social skills perhaps maybe come more naturally than your creative skills, and they can sometimes feel a bit, you sometimes feel a bit forced to maybe integrate those into your life, and it seems pretty clear that this sort of ties into your Schwartz values of intellect, and more specifically that intellect in wanting to build yourself higher, wanting to improve yourself. As you said, you're wanting to improve your social skills at work, but you're also able to work freely and isolated if need be.
Yeah, definitely. That's an accurate intake.
Yeah, awesome. So next up, I wanted to sort of ask, how does your trait of agreeableness that we identified earlier in your Schwartz values, how does that sort of apply to you, and how is that relevant to your work? Sort of similarly to those Tolan codes that we just discussed now.
So that's asking, how do I apply these skills into my work?
Yeah.
Is that right?
It's the theme of agreeableness.
Yeah, so I definitely think that, having the nature of work that I'm currently in, it's very important for me to utilize these skills that I have, just because it really helps me be more of it helps me work more efficiently, it helps me connect with a lot of people more and build meaningful rapport as well.
Yeah, and I suppose having to connect with, 1, 2, maybe even 5 clients at a time, that level of agreeableness and being able to help others, and being more open to, maybe suggestions from co-workers, from clients, would really help you build up that rapport, as you just mentioned.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and so do you think that these specific qualities that we've identified now, what sort of relationship do you have with these qualities outside of work? Like, how are they a bigger part of your lifestyle?
Yeah, so I definitely take these skills into my personal life as well by, like enterprise. I'd say it helps me, just get things done, and being on top of my time management skills. If I'm, at a deadline for work, I try to do that within my work time so that I'm able to self-manage my personal time, family spending time. Especially with creativity, as we mentioned before, it is a very important skill to adapt within your personal life, just in order to make things run a bit smoother and easier, because creativity is a very, useful strategy of de-stressing. You find the beauty in things, as we mentioned. Creativity is just beyond looking at nice figures, right?
Yeah.
So we want to apply that to useful skills, and I would do that by, if I needed to think creatively for writing an assignment or something.
So you feel as if that creativity is almost thinking outside the box?
Yeah.
And maybe that applies to different aspects of your work, and wanting to sort of, I noticed in your Schwartz values survey that you answered very highly on wanting to achieve greater things, and things that aren't necessarily always basic level things, wanting to go above and beyond, and maybe even sideways, and I guess that out of the box authentic thinking could definitely help you there. And also linking back to your enterprising and wanting to, be very on top of the things all the time. I noticed also that could also relate back to your mini IPI, where you scored very high on getting things done and wanting to be very clean, I guess you could say. Would you say that that's pretty accurate?
Yes, definitely. I think that's a very brief and detailed intake.
Yeah. No, I think that these are connecting quite well, and I just wanted to finally ask, so far we've discussed your career pathway and some of the struggles that you have been having, and maybe how some of these qualities haven't been aligning with your values. but sort of as a 360 or a 180, I should say, what qualities have stood out to you, perhaps, that you didn't mention before, but now you've sort of identified within yourself?
I think this session has really helped me self-reflect on a lot of my skills and how I can kind of integrate them with each other to enhance my performance in not just my work professional life, but also with my academics or with my personal life as well. I find that it's been really helpful for me to recognize that my top two strengths of enterprise and socializing work quite well together. And, you know, as I keep applying those skills to these different aspects of my life, I can then be better and yeah.
Yeah, so you, like, just sort of summarizing, you feel like you've sort of achieved maybe a better self-identity, being able to understand, you know, maybe there weren't necessarily qualities that you didn't understand before, but maybe you're understanding how they sort of connect a little bit closer, how that authenticity and creativity connects into social ability, and how that social ability helps you become more resourceful within your work.
Yeah, definitely. I find that there are also skills that I enjoy, which helps me, you know, kind of master at them. It comes from a place of authenticity, as we've mentioned earlier as well. So, you know, by genuinely valuing these skills and practicing them naturally, it just really helps me with applying them to different environments, and they're actually quite useful. As we mentioned, you know, creativity is a skill that I lack in just a little bit, but I can always, you know, work on them just as I did with other skills and eventually inhabit them as naturally, you know, as a natural kind of like characteristic, more as like the others. If you get
have
what
them
I mean.
flow more
Yeah.
easily.
Yeah.
And no, I can definitely see how you know, the creativity rather than a personality trait, it's more of a value, and you value creativity and you want to apply it more into your life, and it's less of a character trait like social and enterprising are more oriented towards when talking about Holland codes, and just even that, you know, that intellect in the Schwartz Values Survey, being smarter, maybe not, you know, IQ wise, as a lot of people like to interpret it, but more intelligent in the way that they think and wanting to self-improve and build upon skills. And as you've mentioned, wanting to have that value of creativity flow more naturally within your lifestyle.
Yes, that is a very accurate observation. I find that that's something that I will be working on moving forwards, and this session has really helped me to recognize that and really appreciate that skill of creativity, because a lot of people do overlook it, and that is something I may have done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, of course. And so, coming to a close, and just in summary, so we've identified that social, enterprising, and creativity or artisticness are sort of your three main traits or values, I guess we could say, and that social ability is really that, I guess it's sort of the central being of your I guess you could say of your lifestyle and of your abilities, wanting to be more social all the time, and that enterprising and creativity kind of just feed in, enterprising perhaps more naturally than your creativity, but they definitely feed into that. So I think definitely that these themes identified within this interview have definitely given us some more flow and some more reason for future sessions together.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much